Hello all. Welcome to Ashok IT. As part of the Oracle Database learning series, we are going to learn about SQL. First, we require to know how the SQL can work. Basically, SQL is a kind of programming language. It is majorly used to make interaction with the database. When the user want to retrieve any information from the database related to the application, the user can send the request to the DBMS. So the DBMS can use a mediator like language SQL to send that corresponding query to the database. And the database give the response according to the request of the user related to the application through the DBMS to the user directly. So when the user want to communicate with the application database through the application, the SQL can be used. So SQL is a programming language which can be used to make interaction between the user and the database for application requirements. So here, the SQL is simply abbreviated as structured query language. It is one of the programming language. In general, we can use the programming language to interact with the systems like computers. Here, SQL is a programming language can use to interact with the database servers, database softwares. So which are called as the RDBMS database software. Simply we can say relational database management system database servers are the database softwares. So when the end user want to communicate with the RDBMS database software, also called as the SQL based database software, we can able to develop some instructions using the SQL. The corresponding instructions which are going to be developed using the SQL called as SQL queries are also called as the SQL statements. So the end user can interact with the RDBMS database software using the SQL queries or the SQL statements. Generally, the corresponding SQL programming language is case insensitive language. That means we can write the SQL queries or SQL statements using any case. That means we can use the uppercase or the lowercase or both for the writing of the SQL queries using the SQL language. That every SQL query must be terminated with the semicolon. And moreover, in the SQL, we can able to write and execute only one SQL query at a time. If you want to execute the block of SQL queries based on the business requirement, then we can go for the PLSQL rather than the SQL. PLSQL simply abbreviated as procedural language using SQL. When we want to execute the block of SQLs, or simply we can say the block of SQL queries on the database, according to the business requirement, we can use the PLSQL. If you can take the table, here student is a table. This corresponding student table is a relation. That every table called as a relation, and the table consisting of the columns and rows. So the columns are simply specified as the fields. Here the corresponding relation with the fields of ID, name, class, mark, gender, and the rows are simply called as a tuples or also called as a values. So if suppose I want to execute a query according to the business logic, here the business logic you can assume like I want to get the student information based on the student marks. Like if the student marks as 55, the students who are having the marks as 55, the corresponding student information I want to get displayed. For that, we can write the query like this. Select star. Select is the keyword from the SQL. From is the keyword. Student is the table name what we have created in earlier. Where is the keyword. And mark is the field which is having the value 55. The students who are having the values, marks 55 in this given table or in this given relation, all the information I want to select. So by using this, we can get it. Otherwise, if you want to get all the student information, we can give this corresponding query. Select star from student. That every query in SQL must be terminated with the semicolon. So this is the way that how we can able to write SQL queries to make interact with the database. So here the SQL can able to execute only one query at a time. If you want to execute more than one query, like block of queries, according to the business requirement, we can go for the PLSQL. So we'll learn about the PLSQL in our coming classes. Thank you for watching about the SQL. In last class, we have discussed about how to interact with the Oracle database using the CLI we have seen. Now, in today's class, we are going to discuss about how to interact with the Oracle database using the web page. Simply using the web URL, how we can able to interact with the Oracle database, we can see. For that, we have an option on the desktop, which is the get started with Oracle. Actually, at the time of installation of the Oracle software, we can able to get this option into your desktop. If you can double click on it, we can get the page like this. After that, we can able to use the option called as Application Express. Then it will ask to enter your system password. So the system password I'm going to enter. Actually, these credentials are going to be created at the time of installation of the Oracle software only. Those only I'm going to enter and click on login. Then we can able to get the new prompt like this. Into this corresponding prompt, we have the option to create the new user. Actually, when you are going to work for any real-time application with the SQL, there for every developer in a team, there will be the number of developers. So for every developer, there is one database user account. So for my need, I'm going to create my new account. So create the new, enter the database username. For example, I'm going to provide the name like the Karthik. Then the corresponding username should be the Application Express username. So I'm going to enter as same. Then I'm going to provide the password. I'm going to provide the password like something like I'm going to give. Any password we can able to use. Confirm password also must be same. Whatever the password you have been entered, the same password we can be enter here. Then after entering all these details, you need to click on the create workspace. Then once you can be click on it, you can able to get the confirmation message. Like it can ask successfully created workspace with Karthik. To begin, click here to login. So we require to be click on this. Then you require to enter the password here. I'm entering my password what I have created. Then click on the login. Then successfully we got the page like this. Successfully we got the page like this. Once we got the page, then here we have the multiple options. Application builder, SQL workshop, team development, administration. There are many options for our purpose. For example, if you want to write the very first query, we can able to use the SQL workshop. We'll learn about all the remaining options in our coming class. So here, if I'm going to click on the SQL workshop, I can able to get the option like this. The SQL commands, object browser, SQL scripts, query builder, utilities like that. So here I want to write the SQL query. So for that only I'm going to use the SQL commands. And here I'm going to type my command like select star from all underscore users. If you can be give this corresponding command, all underscore users, then click on the semicolon. That every query must be end with the semicolon. So after entering this, if you can be click on the run, we can get all the table information. Here we have the option. So here rows is the option we have. If you want to select if you want to increase the number of rows, actually this selected with the 10 by default. If you can be increase the size, so we can able to get a 20 rows. If I'm going to click on the run, so if you have the data, so the data can be displayed with the 20 rows. So according to your number of rows which you have been selected here, that many number of rows with the table can be displayed. Okay. Then here we have in the SQL workshop only, we have one more option. That option is what instance? Object browser. SQL commands is the option we can use for typing any query what you need for the SQL to work. And if you want to know some other options, then we have the option like object browser. So this object browser having the lot of objects. So what kind of objects we have, like tables, views, indexes, sequences, types, packages, procedures, functions, triggers, database links, materialized views, and synonyms. These are all the options. These are all the options which can help to create any database object using the graphical objects. So these are all the graphical objects. So we can able to create any database object. So for example, if I'm going to click on the EMP, I can get the EMP table, EMP table template. Okay. So if you can be click on the data, the corresponding table data can be displayed. So by using these objects, we can able to create our own table when we require. Okay. So this is the way that how we can able to be interact with the Oracle database using the URL, using the web page of the Oracle database, whatever it is, or web URL of the Oracle database. As part of Oracle database learning sequence tutorial, we have covered about how to interact with the database using the CLI and how to interact with the database using the web app or the web URL we have seen. There is one more way that also we can use in the real time. So it's called as how to interact with the database using the graphical user interface, or simply we can say the GUI tools. So actually, in the real time, to work with or to connect with the Oracle database, we have the different GUI tools. One is Oracle SQL Developer, and second one is the Toad for Oracle. So these are the two popular tools, GUI tools, when we need to use to interact with the Oracle database. One is the Oracle SQL Developer and another one is the Toad for Oracle Developer or Oracle Database. So here I'm going to tell you that how we can able to use Oracle SQL Developer. So if you want to use the Oracle SQL Developer for interacting with the Oracle database, first you should be download that Oracle SQL Developer. So go to Oracle official website by simply using the option like this, Oracle SQL Developer download, Oracle SQL Developer download. By using this corresponding option, you can able to get the page like this. So if you can get down, we have the multiple options here. So generally, the Oracle software is always be on top of the Java. So simply we can say the JDK. So it is better to go for this corresponding option, Windows 64-bit with JDK 17. But this corresponding option you can choose depending upon your operating system, your system configuration. If your system is with Windows, you can use this option. If your system with Mac, you can use this option. If your system with the Linux, you can use the corresponding option like Linux RPM. So like that, according to your system configuration, you can choose. So my system configuration is this. So I'm going to download this. So once the downloading is completed, the file look like this. If you can go to the downloads, the file can be look like this. It's a zip file. The file can be get downloaded in the zip file format. So you should be extract this file. So by simply right click on that corresponding folder, you can get the option extract all. If you can use this option, you can able to extract. So the corresponding extracted file like this, SQL Developer. So this is my folder, what I have been extracted, SQL Developer. So after open that corresponding folder, if you can get down, we have an option. We have an option which is called as a SQL Developer.exe. By double click on it, so it will start. The SQL Developer can start. So now, once the SQL Developer can start, you can able to open the page like this. So there is a welcome page. It will take some time to load. This is the welcome page and not important for us. I'm just going to close this. And you have the two navigations here. The two sections are here in this. One is the connections and another one is the reports. Okay. So here, what are the connections we have created? How many users are getting be working on this corresponding area? To understand all those, we can able to check with these connections here. So to work means whatever the query you are going to write after running that corresponding query, the report can able to be get it here. So we'll see about all the corresponding things. So first of all, if you want to work with this corresponding Oracle SQL developer, first you need to be click on this plus symbol for creating the new account. If you are using this corresponding SQL developer for the first time, you can able to click on this plus symbol for adding the new connection. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to give database underscore database underscore developer Ravi. This is the new name I'm going to be provide, and this is completely user defined. So whatever the way you want, you can be okay. And I'm going to select one option. Let's suppose I'm going to choose the option like the green color. I'm selecting the green, and then I'm going to provide the username like the Ravi, and the password I used to define something like here. Then after that, click on the save password. This option can help you to save the password. No, instead to add the corresponding password manually again and again. If you can be click on the save password, it can able to open. It can able to open when you need to be connected. It can automatically open without the entering of the password manually. Then after that, here if you can be observed, the host name can be with localhost. That means we are running the Oracle SQL developer in our local computer. So the host name is the localhost and the port number is the 1521 and SID is the XE. So do not change, not required to be changed all. You can require to simply click on the test, then so once the test connection is completed, then you can click on the connector. So now see the database developer Ravi got created. The database developer Ravi got created. Okay. So now for that, there is a new worksheet is going to be opened automatically. Okay. Here, whatever the query you want to enter, you can. For example, I'm going to give a query like a select sysdate from Jewel. If you want to get the today's date or the current date, you can able to use this corresponding query. And then if you can click on this corresponding option, the run option, then you have to get today's date. Like this, we can able to use any query here. For example, if you want to enter the data like this, select star from EMP table from means the EMP table I want to make it open. So if I'm going to click on it, the EMP table can be. At the same time, if I'm going to use a command like select star from depth, department. So if I'm going to run this program, then we can able to get the departments. So like this, we can able to use the SQL developer to interact with the Oracle database. So here the corresponding GUI having some GUI options to create or to interact with the database for creation of the objects of any like table object if you want, view object if you want, any object we can able to be create using the GUI options or the GUI objects. So what are those? For example, if you can be click on it, so all the objects are going to be listed here. See, tables, views, indexes, packages, like all the options are going to be listed here. By using all these corresponding options, we can able to be interact with the database according to our requirement. So this is the way how we can able to be interact with the database using the GUI. So till now, we have studied that how we can able to be connect with the database. Means there are the three ways we have used it till now. So one is the using CLI, command line interface, using a web app or the web application using the GUI, graphical user interface. So among this, whatever you want, you can be. So most we can able to use in the real time, we can able to use with the GUI. So using the connection or interaction with the database using the GUI only. As part of Oracle learning tutorial, we have discussed about how to install the Oracle database software into a system. And then we have discussed about how to make interact with the Oracle database software using the different approaches. The different approaches are here using command line interface, using the web application, using the GUI, graphical user interface, that how we can able to make interact with the Oracle database software we have seen. As part of this, we have understood that how we can able to be create the account user, database account user. Like that means at the time of Oracle software installation, we have provided some login details like username and password. Those details are called as system details. Technically, those are also called as DBA details. DBA account details means database admin account details. And after that, at the time of web application means when you have interacted with the Oracle database using the web application, by that time we have created some users like Anil, Ravi, like that we have been created some users. So we have some clarity that how we can able to be create the accounts using the Oracle database software by following the different approaches we have seen. But sometimes the interviewer might ask, is it possible to create the new database account user using the CLI? Means yes, we can do it. So how we can able to be create the new database account user using the CLI approach, we can see now. So when you want to create the new database account user, first of all, we require to be start with the SQL command line or SQL command line interface. So how we can able to be start means just go to search bar and type the SQL here. You have the option called as run SQL command line. Then click on it. You have the command line interface, which is technically called as SQL star plus. After open or after starting of the SQL command line, then you require to give connect command. Connect command, then enter. It can ask the username. So as part of this, we require to provide the DBA details. DBA account details means database admin account details like username and password. So the database admin account details, the username is the system and the password is the system what I have been provided at the time of Oracle software installation. I'm going to use those. Then I got the status like system got connected. That means I have successfully connected with my DBA details, DBA account details. Using these details, I want to create the new account user, new database account user. But before going to create, first we require to be check whether we have successfully connected with the DBA account or not. For that, we require to use a command called as show user semicolon. So here the command is nothing but SQL query. So after every SQL query, we require to be keep the semicolon for the termination. So that only I'm going to be follow here. Once you have been given the show space user, then keep enter. You have to be get the output as user is system. That means we were successfully got connected with the DBA account. Using this DBA account, we require to be create the new database account user. How we can be? So very simple. We require to be use one more SQL command or the query, which is create space. So that means we are passing the request to the database, Oracle database. So what I want to create the new account user, new database account user. So for that only create is a command I'm using. Space, what I want to create, new user I want to create. So user I'm going to provide. So after this, with what name you want to create the new account that we require to be provided. So for example, I want to create the new account with the name of Rakesh. So I'm using Rakesh space. At the time of login, the username must be required with or connected with or referred with the password. So the corresponding username with what password, with which password need to be identified. That password also be required to be provided. So how we can be instance by using a reserved word called as identified by. We require to provide the password here. Done. Then keep the semicolon. Every SQL command or SQL query must be terminated with the semicolon. So I'm using that. Then enter. Now see, user got created. So once we have created the user, we need to be provide the grant or we need to be provide the permission. Permission. Why here the permission means when the user account have been created, this user account need to be create or use the database objects like tables, views, indexes, etc. So when the corresponding database account user want to deal with or work with the database objects, we need the corresponding account user need the permission. So we need to be provide here. How we can able to be provide the permissions means using a command called as a grant space resource. That means we are specifying the corresponding resources, what exactly required to utilize the Oracle database objects properly. Okay, all we need to be make it grant, right? So grant space resource along with the resource granting, we require to be specified that I want to connect also. So that is the reason I'm using the connect here. Grant space resource comma connect. To whom we are going to be provide the grant? So definitely the user, right? So the username we require to be provided. Using the to, we require to be provide the username here, Rakesh. Then keep the semicolon. Done. Then I enter the button. Now you got the confirmation message that like grant succeed. So that means we have the successful permissions. So once you have the permission, you can able to be create any database object like tables. Now we need to be check whether we have successfully connected with the username Rakesh or not. So for that only, again, I'm using show user command. Still, I got the message like system. That means I have connected with the DBA account details only, not with the database new user account. If you really want to connect with the database new user account, then you require to be give again connect command. Then it can ask the username. Now I'm going to provide Rakesh is the username. Password again be providing here. Then it was connected. After successfully connection, you require to be use the same command, show user. Now you have the confirmation that whether you are connecting with the new database account user or not. So this is the way that how we can able to be create the new database account user using the DBA credentials. So once you have created the new database account user, if you want to delete it, we can do it. So how we can able to be delete the corresponding created user account credentials, database account user credentials means simple. Again, you need to be connect with the system. Here, from the user means from the database user account, you cannot able to be delete any account. The corresponding accounts are going to be created through the DBA. Through the DBA means database admin. So that is the reason. Again, I'm using the connect. Now I'm providing DBA details, system as the username, system as the password. Enter. I got successfully connected it into my DBA account. Now I need to be use a command called as drop space user. Which user I want to drop it? For example, I have a user called as a Rajesh. I want to drop it. So user drop it. Again, I want to drop the Rakesh. So I'm using drop space user space Rakesh. Done. So all the users got dropped. So like this, if you want to delete any user, we require to be use the drop command. By using the drop command, we can able to be delete the corresponding created database account user. Learning tutorial series, we are going to learn introduction to SQL in today's session. So first, what is the SQL? So simple. When the users want to interact together, they need to use the languages. Those languages are called as the natural languages, like Telugu, English, Hindi, etc. Using those kind of the languages, two users can able to, or more than two users can able to interact. When a user want to interact with the system or the computer, we need a programming language. So same here, the SQL is one of the programming language which can be used by the end user to make interact with the database. So that is the reason the SQL is going to be called as database query language or database programming language. So SQL is abbreviated as structured query language. As an end user, when we need to be interact with the database, that means when we want to pass some statements to make execute in the database software, we require to be create some statements. We require to be create some queries, or we require to be create some commands. For that, we need to be use the special programming language called as SQL here. Basically here, the SQL statements or SQL queries look like the normal English statements. And moreover, the SQL queries are case insensitive. That means if you can write the query in lowercase or uppercase or in any case can able to be accepted by the database software. And the corresponding SQL queries are going to be developed by following the ANSI standards, American National Standard Code Information for Interchange. The corresponding SQL query, what we are using to make interact with the database must be terminated with the semicolon. How the Java programming language can be ended with a semicolon. Here, the SQL query or the SQL statement can always be terminated with the semicolon. Actually, the SQL we can use to interact with the database. Here, the SQL can able to make execute only one query at a time. But sometimes, according to the business requirements, we may require to execute block of queries or the block of statements in the database software like Oracle. So in that scenario, SQL is not suitable. We can able to be use the PLSQL, means procedural language using SQL. The PLSQL can able to be make it execute more than one statement on the database software. So that is the basic difference between the SQL and PLSQL. Then we require to know the SQL commands. The SQL programming language following the ANSI standards. The ANSI standards describe some commands to make work with the SQL as part of the interaction with the database software like Oracle. So there are 5 types of SQL commands are available. One is DDL commands, means data definition language commands. DML commands means data manipulation language commands. DCL commands means data control language commands. DRL commands means data retrieval language commands. And TCL commands means transaction control language commands. So total 5 types of commands are there. Now we require to know the importance of all these 5 types of commands. Actually, all these 5 types of commands are very common for any RDBMS database software, like for the MySQL, for the DB2, for any kind of PostgreSQL, for any kind of the RDBMS database software, all these 5 types of commands are common. So, what is meant by the data definition language command? Generally, the data definition language commands or DDL commands can deal with structure of the database object. As you already know, database objects like tables, views, indexes, etc. So the DDL commands are always be based on the structure of the database object. That means if you really want to create the new database object, or if you want to modify the database object, or if you want to delete, we require to be use the DDL commands, means data definition language commands. So the available DDL commands are create, alter, drop, truncate, etc. By using these, we can able to be create the database object, we can able to be modify, we can able to be delete, etc. The DML commands can deal with the data of the database object. Whatever the database object we can be create using the DDL command, the corresponding data object or the database object can deal with the data, right? To make deal, we require the DML commands. DML, data manipulation language commands. So to manipulate the data, to manipulate with the data of the database object, there are some commands are available. Those are like insert, update, delete, etc. Next, DCL commands means data control logic commands can deal with permissions to give or permissions to revoke for the database users. So when the database user can be get created by using the DBA account, by using the DBA account credentials, we require to be provide the permissions to make create the or to make handle the or to make deal with the database objects. So to give the permissions or to cancel the permissions, we need some commands. Those commands only be called as DCL commands, data control language commands. So the available DCL commands are grant, revoke. All these kind of the commands can be used by the DB users only. The next one, DRL commands, data retrieval language commands, can deals with the retrieving the data from the database objects. So the corresponding DRL command is only one, that is a select. Next, TCL commands, transaction control language commands, can deal with the transaction management. When you are going to be use the application, any web application, using the web application, you can do some actions like login. And for example, if you can take the IRCTC application only, if you really book a ticket, if you want to book a ticket, first you need to do login with the IRCTC. Then you require to be enter your credentials like from address to address, from where to where you want to do the traveling. So the corresponding credentials, date we require to be provide, how many tickets you want to book. So all the information we require to be provide. Once you have been selected the train and everything, when you are going to be do the payment, all the corresponding information or the history can able to be inside the database, right? So here, from the login onwards till the logout, whatever the action, whatever the performance you are going to be do, you are going to be perform. Okay, all those are going to be handled, maintained. For that only, to deal with that only, we require some commands. So those are only be called as the TCL commands. So the TCL commands are like commit, rollback, etc. So these are the 5 different types of the SQL commands what we have. So we require to be know about all these corresponding commands, how to use and everything in depth in our coming classes. So there we can be discuss more about these corresponding commands. Is SQL compiler based or interpreter based? Is SQL compiler based or interpreter based? So compiler and interpreter, those are the two translators what we have for the high level programming languages. When the high level programming language script or snippet want to translate into mission readable format like ones and zeros, we need the compiler and interpreter. So SQL is also consisting of high level understandable codes, like using the user understandable words and the sentences. We are writing the queries using the SQL to make communicate with the database. So for the SQL also we need either compiler or interpreter. But here SQL is interpreter based. SQL is interpreter based programming language. So how means the SQL is a declarative language. It is a declarative language majorly used for managing and querying that databases. It doesn't follow the traditional compilation process like C, C++, Java, where the code is compiled into the mission level language before the execution. The corresponding SQL statements are interpreted by the database management system. So when the user able to transfer a query to the DBMS, database management system, the DBMS can interpret the query what we have been sent for managing or for storing whatever the management thing you want to do at the database. So the corresponding statement or the query can able to be interpreted by the DBMS before going to be execute. That means after the processing of the SQL query dynamically, the corresponding statement can be executed directly in the DBMS. When SQL query is executed, the query processor within the DBMS parses, it can parse the statement, optimize the statement, and it can able to be interpret the statement. So these are the 3 steps what the corresponding query processor can do in the DBMS. So this is the way we can say the SQL is compiler based or interpreter based, means it is purely the interpreter based. Moreover, the SQL can able to send only one query at a time. That is the reason also we can say the SQL is the interpreter based language. How SQL execution process works. When we have the SQL query for creation of any database object, like for example, we have the syntax like this: create table, table. For example, employee table we are creating. In this, the employee ID is the type of tiny int, comma, employee name is the type of varchar of size of 40. So like this, when you have the database object, okay. So for the creation of the database object, I have been followed this corresponding query, right? So when we have the query for doing any activity in the database table, okay. So how this corresponding query can work, that we need to know. So for this only, there is a flow. So this corresponding SQL query, what we can be create for working with the database, for working with any database object, okay. This corresponding query can be provided to the parser or the translator by the query processor. The parser or the translator can able to receive the query from the query processor and checks for the syntax errors and verifies whether the query is valid or not. Once it is valid, and then it can be transmitted to the optimizer for doing the optimization. That means the database optimizer analyzes the different ways to execute the query efficiently. It considers the indexes, join or the join strategies and available statistics, etc. And finally, it can generate the plan for the execution. So once the corresponding optimizer generates the plan to be executed, that can be provided. Simply we can say this is consisting of the catalog of the database to execute the code. So once it can be generate that corresponding catalog, transmit to the interpreter, which is only be called as the execution engine, and can process with the data to give you the output. So this is the way how the SQL query execution process can take place. So in general, in SQL, we can able to be deal with the most important data formats. There are 3 most important data formats. One is the number format. Second one is the text format. Third one is the date time format. So total 3 different SQL data formats we have. These 3 are most important data formats in SQL when we want to be interact with the database servers like MySQL or Oracle. So number format data types. When we want to be send or define the colon of the table with the number type, we can able to be use or we can able to be follow 4 different types of the data. 4 different types of the data types. So one is the tiny int. Second one is the small int. Third one is the int. Fourth one is the big int. So total 4 different types of data we have under the number format. So actually the number format data types are majorly classified into 2. So one is the integral types. 2 types, the major classification. One is the integral type or the number type. Simply we can say. Second one is the floating point type or the fractional type or the floating point type. So the corresponding integral type can be classified into 4 types. There are the 4 types of integral types we have. Integral data we have. So one is the tiny int, second one is a small int, third one is a big int, int, and finally big int. So tiny int can able to reserve with the 1 byte of memory and allow to store the values from -128 to +127. This is the maximum range. The integral part can allow to store the value both negative and positive. So here the range of value for the tiny int is the -128 to +127. So how we can get it means there is a formula. So for example, when we have the n number of bits, by using the n number of bits, how many values we can able to store means 2 power of n values we can be stored. When we have the n number of bits, we can able to store 2 power of n values. These 2 power of n values can be ranged. It can be ranges from -2 power of n minus 1 to -2 power of n minus 1 to +2 power of n minus 1 +2 power of n minus 1 minus 1. This is the formula what we have to understand the range. So for example, here the n is 8. N is the 8. Then for this, the range is going to be considered as the -2 power of 8 minus 1 means 7 to +2 power of 7 minus 1. This is the range. So this can even only be right like -128 to +127. This is the point. So this is the range for the tiny int. Similarly, when you want to define the colon type as the small int, which holds the memory as the 2 bytes and can allow to take the values from -2 power of 2 bytes means 2 into 8, 16. So -2 power of 16 minus 1 means 15 to +2 power of 15 minus 1. This is the range for the small int. And integer can hold 4 bytes of memory, which can allow to store the values from -2 power of 4 bytes means 32. So 32 minus 1, 31 to +2 power of 31 minus 1. This is the range. And coming to the big int, it holds the 8 bytes of memory. So can take the value range is from -2 power of 63 to +2 power of 63 minus 1. This is the range for the big int. So like this, when we want to define the data in integral format, the number which is not having any decimal point in between, such a type of the numbers are what called as integral. So those integrals can able to be represented in the 4 ways. For example, when we have the table, so like for example, create table object with the name of employee. So the corresponding employee have employee ID. Employee ID can able to be represented with the type as small int. Small int. Next, employee name. Sorry, not employee name. So for example, if you want to be take employee age, the employee age can able to be defined with the tiny int. Tiny int. Then if the user want to define its address using the pin code, the pin can able to be take with the integer type, and the mobile number able to define with the big int. So like this, according to the requirement, we can able to be create the table and its corresponding columns. So this is about the integral data types. We have learned about the integers in last class, how we can able to be represent the integral forms or integral types of the data in last class. So in today, we can go with the fractional values, or simply we can say fractional type. Fractional type. How we can able to be represent the fractional type? Fractional type means when a number with a decimal point, when a number with a decimal point are coming under the fractional point, fractional values. So in SQL, there are 3 ways to represent the fractional type values. One is the float. Second one is the double. Third one is the decimal. So total 3 types are there. So float is simply representing when a fractional value can take up to 16 decimal places or 16 places, up to 16 places. before and after the decimal point. Before and after the decimal point. Okay. Then we can use float. So for example, float means the salary is the column of the employee table. So this can be represented with the float means we can able to take a value for the salary as salary equals to, like for example, 23,456.79. Like this we can be. So before and after the decimal point, we can able to keep the maximum of 16 decimal places, 16 places. Okay, such type of the representation coming under the float. Now the double. When a fractional value can take up to 32 places before and after the decimal point, we can use double. So for example, account balance is one of the column for the bank application. Okay, so our bank application means here the bank table. Simply we can say, if it is going to be take the double means, okay, double means we can able to create the account balance. We can able to be create the account balance with the value like up to 32 places. Okay, so it can be like 1 crore 23 lakh 4,456.897 like this. So like this, if you want to define the two largest value, we can go with the double type. Okay, so this is the basic difference between the float and double. Then what is the decimal means? Decimal is same as float, double, same as double. But only the difference is double can be considered for approximation. Can be considered for the approximation. Approximation means here, for example, when we can be considered 10.9. So if the approximate value, nearer value for this is 11. If you have a number like 10.12, the nearest value for this is the 10. So this is the meaning of approximation. So we can able to be applied for the float and double, but for the decimal, we cannot allow to do the approximation. So this is the basic difference between the double and decimal. So these are the three floating point values or the fractional type of the data what we have in SQL. In last class, we have studied about fractional data types. Now in today's class, we can go with the text type or the text format. So we have already studied the SQL data formats are three: numerical format, text format, and then date time format. So till now we have been worked with the number format. Number are the numerical format. So now we can be start with the text format. Text can allow to be defined with either single quote or double quote. So there are three different types of the text formatted data. One is cat type, second one is var cat type, third one is the text type or the string type. Cat type, var cat type, and text type. So here the cat type or the var cat type almost same. These are look like same here. So when you can able to be defined, or when you want to define the text or the string, we using the cat, we can follow the syntax like this: the colon name space the cat type, care of, we need to be specify the size. Here the size is positive. Here the size must be positive. Means above 0 we can be consider. Simply we can say. So here how the corresponding cat type is going to be work means. So for example, we have the employee name. In the employee table, employee name is the colon name. Okay. So for this, the cat type I'm taking cat type of the 30. So this is the declaration for one of the column. So in this case, what happened in sense for the employee name, the corresponding SQL processor can create. The corresponding SQL processor can create the total of 30 bytes of memory. 30 bytes of memory. Even if you have the employee name with the 4 characters like the Ravi, you might have, means in your table for the colon employee name, there is a value for Ravi, which holds only the 4 characters. So each character holds the one byte. Okay. So actually the original size at the time of creation of the colon employee name given as a 30, right? So according to the size, the total can be created as a 30 only. Into this 30, the total 4 bytes of memory can be write, and the remaining 26 bytes of the data can be pasted. Whereas in the case of the varchar, the syntax can be look like this. So we can define the colon name with the varchar. We are defining varchar with the size. Here also the size should be positive. That means greater than 0. So when you have the employee name with the varchar of 30. So in this case, what happened in sense? For suppose if we have the employee name as the Ravi, whatever the size you have been provided, whatever the size you are trying to be stored into the table, employee table. So here, it cannot bother about the corresponding size. According to the value, that means for the employee name, here we have the 4 characters now, only 4 bytes of memory can be created. 4 bytes of memory can be created. According to the value, the corresponding memory can be created by the varchar. But char is not like that. According to the size, what you have been specified at the time of declaration of the colon, according to the corresponding size, the total memory can be created. Into that, the value can be stored. But in the case of the varchar, according to the value, the memory can be created. It doesn't bother about the size, what you are going to be specified at the time of the declaration of the column name. So when you are going to be compare the char and varchar, char can take less time. Char can take less time for the modification. Varchar can take little more time than comparing with the char type, because char can have already the 30 bytes. Up to 30, it can able to take the characters with any. But varchar, according to the update, for example, I am going to be do in the place of Ravi, I may add 5 more characters. Then for these 6 characters, space plus 5, for these 6 characters, new 6 bytes of memory need to be created and stored. So that is the reason slightly more time can consume for the varchar than comparing with the char. So this is the performance issue what we have comparing with the char and varchar. So next, text type. Text type. So when you want to create the memory, or when you want to store the data with the huge amount of the text, like in terms of the paras, more than 256 characters, more than 256 characters, if you want to store as a data, then we can go for the text type of the data. So this is the text type of the data. So these are the 3 text formatted data types what we have: char, varchar, and text. We have discussed about number type of the data. Next, text format of the data. So now in today's class, we can go for the date and time formats. So generally, we can able to create the column of the table using date and time. So there are the 3 types of the date and time formatted data. One is date type. Second one is the time type. Third one is the date time type. So total 3 types are there. So date type can allow to be defined using the date format within the single quote. The date format like year, hyphen, month, hyphen, date. So this is the format for the date type. For example, today's date is the 2025, hyphen, 02 is the February, hyphen, date is the 24. So like this, the date type of the data we can able to be create. Next, time type. The time as like the date type can able to be defined with the quotes. So it is having the format like hour, colon, minute, colon, second. This is the time format what we have. So if you want to store or represent the colon with the time format, we can go for the value like this. So for example, 17 hours, 04 minutes, 44 seconds. So like this, if you want to define or represent the colon type of the data in the time type, we can go for the time. Then date time. So it can allow to represent the time value of the colon in both date and time. So the date can include year, month, date. Then space, the time can be hour, minute, seconds. This is the format of the date time. So for example, so today's date is 2025-02-24 space 017 colon 05:55 seconds. So like this, the date time can be represented. So to deal with the date, we can able to be use the date type of the data, time type, and date time type. In last class, we have discussed about the date time format. Now we can go for the binary format or the binary data type. Simply, we can say the binary format of the data. So binary is simply considered as to use to store the binary data. Binary format data can be used to store the binary data. Binary data means images, files, non-textual information, etc. Okay. So when we need to deal with the binary information like images, files, and non-textual format of the data, non-textual information, simply we can say non-textual information. Okay, we can use simply binary formats. So in SQL, there are the three binary formatted data what we have. There are the total three binary formatted data, or not three. There are two binary formatted data. Are the two binary types we have. There are two binary representations we have. So one is binary. Second one is var binary. So binary can store fixed length of binary data. The corresponding size must be specified when defining the colon. The corresponding size must be specified. Whereas the var binary, it can store the variable length of binary data. The colon can hold up to maximum of or up to maximum size defined. So this is the meaning of the var binary. So here, how we can able to be represent the binary type of the data and var binary type of the data means. So very simple. If you can take the example here, let's take the example. So for suppose we have create table with the files. Okay. So in this, I have the information which is called as a file type, which can hold the binary of 16. So that means the corresponding files can able to create the object called as a file with the size of 16 bytes. That is the meaning of it. The corresponding file data can able to be stored with the size of 16 bytes or the 64 bytes, whatever it is, according to our requirement. Okay, so this is the meaning of it. So whereas coming to the var binary. So here, if suppose we have a database object called as a table with the name files, here we are having the file ID as integer, Next, the file data which is going to be defined with the var binary with the size of 512. So which is going to be defined the maximum size. Okay. So when you want to define the files with the more size like 512 bytes or more than that, then we can go for the var binary. So this is the way that how we can able to be differentiate the binary and var binary. So these are the two binary formatted of the data what we have in SQL. We are going to learn about DDL commands in today's session. So we have already discussed in earlier only, SQL provided the 5 different types of commands to make interact with the Oracle database software. One is the DDL commands, DML commands, DCL commands, DRL commands, and TCL commands. So in today's session, one of the command like a DDL commands we can be learn. So actually, SQL providing the 4 important DDL commands for interacting with the for the creation of the structure of the database object. Any database object like table or view or storage procedure or function for creation of any structure of the database object, we can able to go for the DDL commands. So for that only, there are the 4 DDL commands are available. One is create, second one is alter, third one is drop, fourth one is truncate. So total 4 different types of commands we have. So first we need to know about the creator. So when we want to create any database object, so to create any database object like a table, view, etc., we can able to use the create command. So here, if suppose you want to create the table only using the create command, then we can able to use the syntax like this: create table, the name of the table. For example, I want to provide the name of the table like the employee table. Employee table. Then open the parenthesis and keep the semicolon. In between this, the columns we can be provided. In between this, the columns. For example, I need to be provide like employee ID. So the employee ID is integer type. Next, I want to provide the employee name. This is the char type, which holds the 50 characters maximum. So like this, if I want to be create the table with the different fields, what are all the different fields I want? For each different field, the name and the type we need to be keep. So this is the structure what we need to be follow. So like this, if you want to create any database object, we can use the create table. So I want to show you that how we can able to be create the table using the create command practically. So we have the Oracle database software in our computer. We can able to be interact with the Oracle database software using 3 ways: using CLI, using the web application, using the GUI. So now I'm going to use the web application to create the database. So let's open the web application of Oracle database software. Then after that, you can able to open, means click on application express. Then you require to be login with the admin details. Admin details are here, system. Then click on login. Then if you have the user, you can able to be click on the login. If you are not having the user, you can able to be create the user here. We have already discussed the entire criteria. So here I'm going to be click on the login. And I'm going to be use some other name, like I want to take something like Anil. I want to use the Anil here to do the login. So done. So I have been logged in with the Anil. Okay. Now I want to create the table using the create command. For that, I'm clicking on the SQL workshop. Go to the SQL commands and provide create table, employee table. Employee table. Start with the parenthesis, close with the parenthesis, and keep the semicolon. Then here we require to be provide employee ID, EMP ID, which is the integer type I'm taking. Next, employee name, which is the char type, which holds of 50 characters. So like this, I want to create the table with only the 2 fields. Let's run the code. Now table got created successfully. So once the table can be created, we can able to be use the table to assign any value, or if you want to add the new column, anything we can able to be do. So this is the way that how we can able to use the create command for our creation of any database object using the database software. Next. Once we have created the table, to perform changes on the created structure, like for example, if you want to add the new column into the created table, or if you want to change the table name, or if you want to change the type of the data. So if you want to perform any changes on the structure, what we have been created using the create command, we can use the alter command. Alter. So to modify the created structure, using create command. So to modify the created structure, we can use alter command. We can use the alter command. So if you suppose I want to add the new element. For example, I want to add the new column into this table, employee table. Okay. So this is my employee table. I'm going to use this only. So for that, alter table, the table name, space. For example, I want to add designation. I want to add the designation, which is the cat type, care of. Suppose I want to take the 40 characters maximum. So here I want to perform the adding onto the table now. So after the table name, like employee table, we require to use a keyword called as a add. Then we can able to be perform the alter or change on the given table successfully. So like this, if you want to perform any changes on the table, we can able to use the alter command. So on the any changes on the table means on the created structure. If you want to perform any changes, we can go for the alter. So this is the simple syntax what we can be used for the alter. Next, drop. So when you want to delete any created structure permanently, once we can be delete, no modification or no adding, no altering, we can be performed. So in that scenario, we can use the drop. It can delete the data along with the structure of the table or along with the structure of the database object can be deleted permanently. Then we can go for the drop. It can delete the database object permanently. It can delete the database object permanently. We can go with the drop command. So for example, here we can able to use drop. If I'm going to be use the drop, I want to perform the table. On the table, I want to perform the drop table, employee table we have, space, employee table, that's it. So if I'm going to be give like this, run, the table got dropped. So once I have performed the drop on the table, we cannot able to be perform any modification. Like for example, if I'm going to be define again this alter option or alter operation on this drop table, I can be definitely get the error. So I can get the error that is table or view does not exist. So this is the point. That means when you can able to be use the drop, it can able to be delete. It can able to be delete the corresponding table permanently. We cannot able to be retrieve it back for performing any alter operations. Okay. So that is the meaning of the drop. So next, truncate. So the truncate is same as the drop. The truncate can clear all the fields of the table by keeping the table structure. That means after the truncate, we can able to be perform the alter operation. For example, this is my table what I have. For example, I have the table like this. I'm going to be use this corresponding table. Let's run it. Table got created. Okay. So after the creation of the table, if I'm going to be perform the truncate operation, truncate table space employee table, then run it. The table got truncated. After this, if I'm going to be perform any alter operation, so if I'm going to be perform any alter operation, so it can perform the corresponding modification on the table can be takes place. So drop cannot perform any operation back once you can able to be implement the drop command. Means we cannot be perform any alterations on the corresponding table. Okay. Truncate is not like that because the truncate can clear all the elements by making the table as empty or the object as empty. That's it. When you can able to be perform the alter, it can able to be add the element in that corresponding table place. So that is the basic difference between the truncate and drop. So we have already discussed in earlier only. SQL provided the 5 different types of commands to make interact with the Oracle database software. One is the DDL commands, DML commands, DCL commands, DRL commands, and TCL commands. So in today's session, one of the command like DDL commands we can be learn. So actually, SQL providing the 4 important DDL commands for interacting with the database software for the creation of the structure of the database object. Any database object like table or view or storage procedure or function for creation of any structure of the database object, we can able to go for the DDL commands. So for that only, there are the 4 DDL commands are available. One is create. Second one is alter. Third one is drop. Fourth one is truncate. So total 4 different types of commands we have. So first we need to know about the creator. So when we want to create any database object, so to create any database object like a table, view, etc., we can able to use the create command. So here, if suppose you want to create the table only using the create command, then we can able to use the syntax like this. Create table, the name of the table. For example, I want to provide the name of the table like the employee table, Then open the parenthesis and keep the semicolon. In between this, the columns we can be provided. In between this, the columns. For example, I need to be provide like employee ID. So the employee ID is integer type. Next, I want to provide the employee name. This is the char type, which holds the 50 characters maximum. So like this, if I want to be create the table with the different fields, what are all the different fields I want? For each different field, the name and the type we need to be keep. So this is the structure what we need to be follow. So like this, if you want to create any database object, we can use the create table. So I want to show you that how we can able to be create the table using the create command practically. So we have the Oracle database software in our computer. We can able to be interact with the Oracle database software using 3 ways, using CLI, using the web application, using the GUI. So now I'm going to use the web application to create the database. So let's open the web application of Oracle database software. Then after that, you can able to open, means click on application express. Then you require to be login with the admin details. Admin details are here, system. Then click on login. Then if you have the user, you can able to be click on the login. If you are not having the user, you can able to be create the user here. We have already discussed the entire criteria. So here I'm going to be click on the login and I'm going to be use some other name. Like I want to take something like Anil. I want to use the Anil here to do the login. So done. So I have been logged in with the Anil. Okay. Now I want to create the table using the create command. For that, I'm clicking on the SQL workshop. Go to the SQL commands and provide create table, employee table. Employee table. Start with the parenthesis, close with the parenthesis, and keep the semicolon. Then here we require to be provide employee ID, EMP ID, which is the integer type I'm taking. Next, employee name, which is the char type, which holds of 50 characters. So like this, I want to create the table with only the 2 fields. Let's run the code. Now table got created successfully. So once the table can be created, we can able to be use the table to assign any value, or if you want to add the new column, anything we can able to be do. So this is the way that how we can able to use the create command for our creation of any database object using the database software. Next. Once we have created the table, to perform changes on the created structure, like for example, if you want to add the new column into the created table, or if you want to change the table name, or if you want to change the type of the data. So if you want to perform any changes on the structure, what we have been created using the create command, we can use the alter command, alter. So to modify the created structure, using create command. So to modify the created structure, we can use alter command. we can use the alter command. So if you suppose I want to add the new element. For example, I want to add the new column into this table, employee table. Okay. So this is my employee table. I'm going to use this only. So for that, alter table, the table name, space. For example, I want to add designation. I want to add the designation, which is the char type, char of, suppose I want to take the 40 characters maximum. So here I want to perform the adding onto the table now. So after the table name, like employee table, we require to use a keyword called as a add. Then we can able to be perform the alter or change on the given table successfully. So like this, if you want to perform any changes on the table, we can able to use the alter command. So on the any changes on the table means on the created structure. If you want to perform any changes, we can go for the alter. So this is the simple syntax what we can be used for the alter. Next, drop. So when you want to delete any created structure permanently, once we can be deleted, no modification or no adding, no altering, we can be performed. So in that scenario, we can use the drop. It can delete the data along with the structure of the table or along with the structure of the database object can be deleted permanently. Then we can go for the drop. It can delete the database object permanently. It can delete the database object permanently. We can go with the drop command. So for example, here we can able to use drop. If I'm going to be use the drop, I want to perform the table. On the table, I want to perform the drop table, employee table we have, space, employee table, that's it. So if I'm going to be give like this, run, the table got dropped. So once I have performed the drop on the table, we cannot able to be perform any modification. Like for example, if I'm going to be define again this alter option or alter operation on this drop table, I can be definitely get the error. So I can get the error that is table or view does not exist. So this is the point. That means when you can able to be use the drop, it can able to be delete. It can able to be delete the corresponding table permanently. We cannot able to be retrieve it back for performing any alter operations. Okay. So that is the meaning of the drop. So next, truncate. So the truncate is same as the drop, but the truncate can clear all the fields of the table by keeping the table structure. That means after the truncate, we can able to be perform the alter operation. For example, this is my table what I have. For example, I have the table like this. I'm going to be use this corresponding table. Let's run it. Table got created. Okay. So after the creation of the table, if I'm going to be perform the truncate operation, truncate table space employee table, then run it. The table got truncated. After this, if I'm going to be perform any alter operation, it can work. So if I'm going to be perform any alter operation, so it can perform. The corresponding modification on the table can be takes place. So drop cannot perform any operation back once you can able to be implement the drop command. Means we cannot be perform any alterations on the corresponding table. Okay. Truncate is not like that because the truncate can clear all the elements by making the table as empty or the object as empty. That's it. When you can able to be perform the alter, it can able to be add the element in that corresponding table place. So that is the basic difference between the truncate and the drop. We are going to be learn about to write the query. That query describing like creating the customer table and inserting the data into the table and display that corresponding table after the insertion. So how these three steps we can do, we'll see now. So when we want to create the table into the database, we can able to use one of the DDL command, which is called as the create. Using the create command, we can able to be create the table. So the syntax for the create command is create table is the object name, which is going to be used as the keyword in the SQL query space, the table name, whatever the table name we want to be provide, the table name we can be give. Then start the parenthesis. In between the parenthesis, the column name, column number 1, the corresponding data type also we require to be specified. Then column number 2, the column name number 2, space data type. Like this, how many columns we require, that many number of columns we need to be placed. This is the syntax we need to be used when we want to be create the table into the database. So here, to understand, I'm going to be implement in the SQL command line. So I'm starting the SQL command line here. And when you have started, first command we require to be give, that is the connect. Now I'm using system as a username and a password. Now I have connected into the database successfully, and I'm using one more command called as a show user. Now I have means the system admin got connected into the database successfully with the corresponding username is shown as the system. Now I want to create the table. So to create the table, we can use the create command. Create space, the table is the database object, which is act as a keyword, space, the table name I'm using like customer underscore demo, or else customer underscore table underscore demo. This is my table name. Enter. Now you require to be provide the corresponding column names. For example, I want to provide the CID is the column name, which is the number type, comma, name of the customer, which is the varchar of 50. I want to create the name of the customer with the maximum size of 50. And for every customer, there is a gender. Gender is also be take the maximum size of 40. And age I want to keep, which is the number type. And then location. Location is of, again, varchar, which is of the maximum size of 50. So like this, we require to be create the table. So we have created the table successfully. So once you have created the table, we need to validate or check whether table structure got created or not. Table structure got created or not. So how in sense? So by using the query, which is called as a describe. So the corresponding table name we should be, that's it. By using this corresponding syntax, we can able to be understand whether the table structure got successfully created into the database table or not. So I'm using here describe space customer underscore table underscore demo. This is the table name. So the corresponding structure got created. Customer ID is the number type, name is the varchar, gender is the varchar, age is the number type, location is the varchar. So successfully created. Now, once we got successfully created the table, the next step is we require to be insert the data into the table. So when we want to insert the data into the table, we need to be use a command called as a DML command, data manipulation language command, which is called as the insert. The insert command we require to be used. So how we can be use the insert command means simple. Insert space into is a keyword we can be used. The corresponding table name into which table we want to insert the data, the corresponding table name we can be used. Okay. Then space values of, we require to be add the values now. So values of, according to the columns, we require to be provide the values here. So this is the general syntax we can be follow when you want to insert the data into the table. So I'm going to be implement now. So insert into the table is the customer table underscore demo space values of, first one is the ID. So I'm giving 10203. 102030 is the customer ID, comma, the name of the customer is the Ravi. Next, the gender of the customer is the male. Next, age is the 31, and the location is the Vizag. So I have inserted the data successfully. So there is one more syntax we can be consider to insert the data. That corresponding syntax is like this. There is alternative syntax. Insert into the table name. Insert into the table name. Here we require to provide the column number 1, means column name, comma. How many columns are there? Only the column names we require to be provided. How many columns are there? Only the column names are going to be provided here. Then keep the space and values of the corresponding values we can be given. Value 1, comma, value 2, comma. So according to the number of columns we require to be, and according to the data type and the number of columns we require to be provide the values here. So this is another syntax what we can be follow when we want to insert the data into the table. So I'm going to be use that now. Insert into the table name is the customer table demo. Customer table demo of CID is the one of the column name. Gender is one more column name. Is location. So total 5 columns are there. All the 5 column names have been given. Space values of. So we need to be provide the values. So 102031 is the ID. The name as the something like Bhavani. Next, comma. Gender is the female, comma. Age as the 21, comma. Suppose Vizag is the location. So I have been given. Enter. So one more row created. So like this also we can able to be enter. So there is one more way. So the third way to insert the data is insert into. So the table name space values of ampersand value, like this. How many values you have according to the number of columns we should be provide that many number of ampersand with values equal to presentation. So this syntax can help to insert the data in like a prompt. So like for example, if you want to insert the data in runtime, so in Java we can be use the scanner, right? So same like here, if you want to insert the data like the prompt, we can be use this corresponding ampersand symbol. So I'm going to use that. Insert into customer underscore table underscore demo values of. So ampersand customer ID, ampersand name, ampersand gender, ampersand age, ampersand location. So like this we require to be provide. Enter. It can ask the ID. Suppose I'm giving 102032. This is the ID. Name is Ashok. Gender is the male. Age as the 33, and the location is the Hyderabad. Enter. So one more row created. So if you want to repeat it again, if you want to enter the data again as a prompt, so you can use the slash backslash. Enter. It can give you the prompt again. Now I'm giving 102033. Enter. Now the name is the suppose I'm going to give Bhavdeep. Gender is the male. Age as the 22. Location is the Kerala. So like this, how much data you want to, we can able to be enter. So once we have inserted the data into the table, to store the data into the table permanently, to store the data into the table permanently, we can use a TCL command. We can use a TCL command, that is a commit. We can use a TCL command, that is a commit. So by using this corresponding commit, we can able to store the data into the table permanently. So I'm using commit command. Done. So commit is completed. So once the committing the data into the database table permanently, we require to be validate whether the data have been created into the database successfully or not. So what are the values were added? If you want to validate, means we require to be displayed. For that only we can able to use a command which is called as select command. The select is one of the DRL command. Select is one of the DRL command. So the corresponding DRL command which is named as a select. By using this we can able to be use the data. So the syntax is select star from the table name. whatever the table you have, the corresponding table name we can be used. That's it. So by using this, we can able to get that corresponding data or retrieve that corresponding data. So I'm using that. Select star from the table is the customer underscore table underscore demo. Enter. The table data got displayed, but it is not proper shape, right? So if we can able to be give the proper alignment, so the corresponding alignment like set line size space. Suppose I'm going to give 250, enter. Now I'm going to use the same select command. Now the data can be displayed like this. So this is the way how we can able to be and create the table using the create command, which is the DDL command, and how we can able to be insert the data by using the DML command called as the insert, and how we can able to be commit the data using the TCL command, and how we can able to be display the corresponding data or validate the data by using the DRL command, which is the select command. So these are the ways what we can be following. How we can able to be perform the update on the created table. Let us suppose we have the table like this. First, I'm going to create the table as per our requirement. First, let me connect with my database. Now, I'm going to check with whom or with which user I have got connected with the database. So show user, which is the command can help you to understand who is or which user is connecting with the database right now. So I got connected with the admin. So that is named as a system. Now I'm going to use the create command. Create for creation of the table. So create the table object name is database object name is the table we can give. And the table name I used to define like suppose customer underscore table underscore table. So this is my table name, what I'm going to be give. So then start the parenthesis in between. You require to be provide the column names. For example, I want to give ID. I want to give ID. ID is the number type. Next, I want to give name. The name is the varchar, which is having the maximum capacity of the 50. And the next one is the gender, which is also with the varchar of 15 characters. The next one is the is, which is the number type. The next one is the location, which is also with the varchar with the maximum size of 3. So like this, I have a table. I'm going to be repeated again. Let's create the table. Create. The database object name is the table. The table name is the customer underscore table underscore demo. Then start with the parenthesis. Here I'm going to be provide ID as the number type. Next, name, which is the varchar with the maximum size of the 50. Next, gender, which is also with the varchar of 15. Next, yes, which is the number type. Next, location, which is also with the varchar of 50. So like this, I'm going to be create a table. So table got created. So once the table created, if you want to check whether the table has been created or not, we can use description space the table name. Table name is the tab, the table name. The table name is the customer underscore table underscore demo. So the table got created. It has the minimal structure. So this is the structure what we have been created. Okay. So by using the describe command, we can able to understand whether the table structure got created or not. But this corresponding table is empty. We require to be insert or we require to be add the data into this table. So how we can able to be insert the table data into the table means simple. We can use insert. We require to be insert the data into the table name. The table name is what here? Customer underscore table underscore demo. This is my table name. So I want to insert the values. So values of suppose I want to add ampersand ID, comma, ampersand name, comma, ampersand gender, comma, ampersand yes, comma, ampersand, location. So for these, I want to add the data. So it is asking the ID. So let us suppose I'm giving the ID like the 1001. The name as the Rahul. The gender as the male. Then the age as the 28. The location as the Hyderabad. So there is an issue. So again, I want to be repeated. So I want to provide 1001 is the ID. The name as the Rahul. Next, the gender as the male. Next, age as the 28. The location as the Pune. Enter. So one row got created. Again, I want to insert the data. So use the backslash. Then it can give you the chance to give the prompting. So I'm going to be give the ID like the 1002. The name as the Ravi. The gender as the male. The age as the 31. And the location as the Vizag. Location as the Vizag. Second row got created. Now I want to insert one more data. Suppose I'm going to be provide the ID like the 1003. The name as the Kirtana, and gender as the female, age as the 29, and the location as the Hyderabad. So like this, I have added the data. So once we have added the data, we require to perform the commit. Then I want to display the data, whether the data have been entered into the table or not, inserted into the table or not, I want to do. So for that, I'm using the select command, select star from the table name. We require to be give the table name. Here the table name is the customer underscore table underscore demo. Done. The corresponding table have been displayed. So it is not in proper alignment. So we require to be set the data. So set line counter. So line size we require to be set. For example, I want to set the line size as the 150. Then again, I'm going to be use the select command. Now the data table can be get displayed with the proper alignment. So this is the way that how we can able to be display the data. So let us assume this is the table what I have. Into this, I want to again perform the insertion. I want to perform the insertion again with the same, like for example, I want to provide the ID as the 1004, the name as the Ravi again, and the gender as the male, age as the 33, location as the Hyderabad. So this is one more table. After that, I'm going to do the commit. Now again, I'm going to be select the data, want to display. Okay, so this is my table what I have. So the table with 4 rows, the table with 4 rows I have. So now I want to perform the update. Our main target is what in sense here. I want to perform the update, update the table. So we can perform the table means we can perform the update on the table without the condition and with the condition. So first we can see without condition. So without condition, if you are trying to be do the update operation on the table, it can able to be reflect on all the rows of the table. For example, we have the syntax like this: update, the table name we require to be provide the table name. Then use the set. So what you want to change? So the corresponding column name we require to be provide. Whatever the column you want to change, the corresponding column name, and with the new value, whatever the new value you want to set, the corresponding new value we can be given like this. How many columns you want to change? That many number of columns we require to be provide here. Column name and the corresponding new value we require to provide. So like this, we require to be repeated. So when you are not going to be provide the condition, this corresponding syntax can able to reflect the changes or the update on the entire table. So I want to show you. So for example, here I'm using update, the table name customer underscore table underscore demo. This is my table. In this, I want to set the location. I want to set the new location. The location value as the suppose I want to set all the location information as the Mumbai. Then enter. 4 rows updated means in this table the total 4 rows are there. So all the 4 rows are getting be updated. So whether it is changing or not, we require to know. So by using the select command, select star from customer underscore table underscore demo. Enter. So if you can be observed, the location, all location are in all the rows, the location can be displayed with the Mumbai only. So when you are not going to be provide any condition, it can be get reflected with the entire table. In all the column, it means in all the 4 rows, in all the rows of the table, it can be get reflected. Okay, so not only the single column, we require to be changed more than one column also. For example, I used to define the update on the table customer table underscore demo. In this table, I want to set the location as Bangalore. I want to change the location as a Bangalore, comma, I want to change the age as equals to 30, suppose. Then 4 rows updated. And if I'm going to be perform the select command, then see all the age and location of the entire table with all the rows can be get changed. So when you can able to be use the update without any condition, we require to be means the corresponding update can be reflect on the entire table. That means how many rows are there, in all the rows it can be get updated. So here in this syntax, we have been means in the update syntax, we have been used set. Set is one of the keyword of the SQL, which is going to be used as a clause. In SQL, we have the clauses. So set is one of the clause. Okay. So now I want to modify. I want to update the table based on the condition. In that scenario, we can use second scenario, update with the condition. Means based on the condition we can be. Based on the condition we can be. How we can be. So if you really want to define the condition, the same syntax, update the table name, set whatever you want to, like the column, which column you want to change, the corresponding value we can be you. So like this, how many columns you want to change, that many number of columns we can be provided. So this corresponding setting, the corresponding change need to be reflect based on the condition. The condition can be reflect with or defined with the where. Where is also one of the clause in the SQL, which is also be act as a keyword here. So where the condition we require to be provided here. So the condition is where, the condition we require to be provided here. Okay, so this is the simple syntax what we can be follow when you want to perform the update on the table using the condition. So come back here, I'm going to be applying update the table name customer table underscore table. Here I want to set location. I want to set the location as suppose Vizag I want to keep where the customer ID, where ID is equals to 1004, where ID is equals to 1004. Enter. Sorry. So here the location equals to we require to be provided where ID equals to 1004. Then one row got updated. Now, if you can be check about the select command. Now see, with the ID 1004, the corresponding location got changed to Vizag. Okay. Similarly, we can able to be reflect with more than one value also, means update with more than one value also. So in this situation, we can be provide update customer underscore table underscore demo. In this, I want to set the location with the I want to set the location as USA. Okay, and means here comma we can be keep is equals to 31. Okay, where the customer name is equals to suppose Ravi. I want to consider Ravi. Okay, then 2 rows are updated because in this table with the name of Ravi, two rows are there. So that is the reason 2 rows are updated. If you can be use the select command, then the corresponding change can be reflected on 2 rows in the row number 2 and in the row number 4. Like this, we can able to be perform the update operation without specifying any condition. We can. So if you want to define or use the delete without the condition, the syntax look like this. Delete from which table you want to delete, that corresponding table name we can make it. That's it. So this syntax can help you to delete the all rows of the table. That means it can able to make the table as empty. It can remove all the fields of the table, what you have been inserted. Let us suppose here this is the table what we have. The table name is the customers table. So from this corresponding table, I want to remove all. I want to remove all fields. We can able to use this corresponding syntax. Delete space from table name. Or else, if you want to remove the specific field or the specific row, then we can able to define a condition. We can allow to be define the condition. So if you really want to define the condition, the syntax is delete from the table name we can be provided. Then where whatever the condition you want to specify, the condition we can be specified. That's it. This syntax can help you to delete the particular row from the table. Let us suppose from this corresponding table, I want to delete the last row. I want to delete the last row. Then I used to define like delete. It is one of the DML command. Delete from the table name is the customers table. Customers table. Okay. I used to define the conditions where the ID is equals to 1993. That's it. So according to my condition, the table got deleted. Means the table row got deleted. After the deletion, if I'm going to be use select command for acquiring all the corresponding data, for displaying the table data. So select the stars from customers table. We can be provide. See that one of the record with the row got deleted. Otherwise, if you want to make the table as empty, means if you want to remove all the rows from the table, then we can able to go with the delete without condition. So delete from, simply we can use customers table. Enter. All the rows got created. If you can be use the select command to display, no rows got created because in the table all fields were removed permanently. The table was empty now. That's why it is going to be displayed the output as no rows selected. So this is the way that how we can able to be delete the data from the table or remove the rows from the table. How we can alter the table structure. So actually using the create command, we can create the table. So by following the syntax like create table, the table name we can be provide table name. Then after that, start the parenthesis, and we need to be provide the column names. Column name 1 and its corresponding type. So how many columns we require? That many number of columns we require to provide along with the type. So this is the general syntax what we can be follow for the creation of the table. After the creation of the table structure, I want to alter the table. So before going to see the alter, first we can check about the table creation one more time. So let me start with the SQL command line. We need to be provide correct command, then give the data system password. Sorry, one more time. Connect. System is the username. Password connected successfully. Now I want to check the user, show user. So we got the system, we got connected with the admin. Now I want to create the table structure. So create table. The table name, suppose I'm going to be provide like a employee table. Employee table. Open. The corresponding table consisting of the ID, which is the number type. Number of, suppose I'm going to give the 6. Next, name is the varchar type. Suppose it is having the 30. So like this, I have created one table. So if you want to know whether the table have created or not, we can use the DESC command or describe command. So DESC RABE, describe the table name. So table name is the employee table. Enter. So we got the table structure. So we have one more command also called as a DESC, the table name, employee table. So we have the same output. So using either the describe or DSC, we can able to get the clarity whether the table have been created with the defined data or not. So once the table created, now on this corresponding created structure, I want to perform the alter operation. So how we can able to alter the table structure means, for that we can use the alter command. Alter command. The alter command we can use in different situations. The first situation is if you want to add, if you want to add, if you want to add the new column into existing table, we can use the alter command. In that scenario, we can use the syntax like alter, the table object name, the table name. When you want to add the new columns, we can use the add. Add is the keyword we can use for the adding. Add of, add space, add space. What is the column you want to add? For example, I want to add column with the type. Data type we can be specified. Whatever the column you want to add, that corresponding column we can be done. By using this corresponding syntax, we can able to be add the new element, new columns into the existing table. New columns into the existing table. Okay. So here I'm adding only one column at a time. I'm adding only one column at a time. Okay. If I want to add more than one, that is also be fine. So we can keep the parenthesis. How many columns that you need? That many number of column names we can be provide along with the data type. Along with the data type, we can be, that's it. This can help you to add the more number of columns also. So this is the syntax what we can do. So we can implement now. See, suppose I'm using alter table object we are altering. The table name is the employee table. Employee table. So I want to add new column. Suppose ID and name already there. So here I want to add what I want to add. Suppose I want to add the is which is the number type required 2 digits to store the year. So I'm taking 2, comma. Suppose I want to add gender. I want to add the gender. The gender is the type of varchar 10. That's it. So now the table got altered. If you can use the DESC command, then check it into the table. There are the two new columns were added. So like this, if you want to add the new columns into the existing table, we can use the alter command. Alter command. Next, the alter command also we can use for to rename the columns. To rename the columns or to rename the table. To rename the columns or to rename the table, we can able to use the alter command. In this case, the syntax we can able to use like alter the table name on which you want to do the rename, table name, space rename. For example, I want to rename the column. So I'm using column, whatever the old name you have, that old name you can provide here. Old name. What you want to change. After using the two, you can use the new name. By following this corresponding command, we can alter the or rename the column name. For example, here I'm giving alter table object. The table name is the employee table. I want to rename. So rename is the keyword I'm using. Rename space. I want to modify or rename the column. So that's why I'm using the column keyword column. Now the new name I want to give. So first, what I want to change? Suppose I want to change the ID. I want to change the ID to employee ID. Employee ID. Then table altered. In earlier, the table consisting of ID as the column name, but now it was changed to employee. Like this, we can able to alter the table column name. Okay, only one column at a time we can be modified. We can be renamed. Okay, and similarly, we can rename the table also. If you want to rename the table, we can use alter table, the table name. Alter table, the table name. After that, we can be use the rename to whatever the new name we have, the corresponding new table name we can be provided. So by using this, we can alter the table name also. Suppose I'm using alter table employee table. I want to rename to, and I want to rename to demo employee table. Demo employee table. Then if I'm going to use the DESC demo table, if you can use, I got the table. So DSC, demo employee, rename EMO, employee table. If you can use, the table got printed. Okay, so if you want to alter the table, we can give alter the table name demo EMO PLOYE employee table, rename to demo employee table, and if you can able to use DSC demo employee table. So table got printed. Like this, if you want to rename the column name or rename the table, we can able to use the alter with the rename. Next, the alter we can also use for remove the column. We can able to remove the column. For this case, we can use the syntax like alter table name we can use space. I want to remove the column. So for this we have drop. We have the option called as a drop. I want to remove means I want to drop the column, right? So that's why I'm using the column. What the column you want to remove? The corresponding column name we can be provided. So we can be provide the column name. By giving this corresponding syntax, that particular column can able to be dropped. So let's check it. Suppose I want to drop gender from the corresponding table. So alter table demo employee table drop colon gender. So if you can able to use the describe, you can get the table with only the 3 columns now. So like this, we can able to be perform the drop operation. Okay. Next. So if I'm trying to be perform the drop with more than one option, for example, I want to drop name and age also. So then we can use name, age, enter. So it is going to be show the error. That means we can able to drop only one column at a time. We can rename the column only one, and we can drop or delete or remove only one column at a time. That's why we can get the error here. Okay, so this is one of the observation what we have. Okay, next, the last point. We can also use the alter. We can also use the alter to change the type of the column. That means, for example, the syntax we can able to be follow like this: alter the table name. In this table, I want to modify the type, modify the data type for what? Colon, right? Colon of the name of the column. We can be provide the name of the column. So column name, what the new data type we have, what the new data type option we have, that corresponding new data type we can be provide. And we can use for the multiple also, means we can be repeat this for multiple columns also. Column name space new data type. So like this we can be do. So let's check it. For example, if you can be go with the scribe, we have the table here, employee ID, name is right. I want to change the employee name to size of the 50. So in this case, I'm giving alter table demo employee table. I want to do modify. Modify the column, of name space varchar 2 of 50. I want to change this. So you can do the directly modify name varchar 2. No requirement to provide any column. Okay, directly you can do the modify column name and varchar 2. Okay, if suppose you want to modify more than one. So like for example, name I want to change at the same time. I want to change the age. To number. When enter table altered, if you can be use the describe command, we can be get that corresponding table according to our requirement. So this is the way that how we can able to be create, how we can able to be perform the alter operation on the create a table structure. What is the difference between the truncate and drop? So here, the truncate and the drop, both are DDL commands. That means data definition language commands. Both can be used for delete operation. Both can be used for the delete operation. That means when we want to delete, all records, when we want to delete all records from the table permanently. Here the records means rows. Simply we can say the data, tuple of data. So when we want to delete all records or rows from the table permanently, we can use truncate command. Whereas when we want to delete the table structure, when we want to delete the table structure from the database, we can use drop command. So this is the basic difference between the truncate and drop. So how we can able to use the truncate? What is the syntax means? Very simple. Truncate. We are going to be work with the database object called as the table space. The table name we can be provided. The table name. That's it. This is the syntax for the truncate. And when you want to drop the table permanently from the database, even not require the structure, then we can go with the drop command. The drop command can be used like this. So drop space table object name, table space the table name, drop space table, that is a database object name, space the table name. If you can be follow with this corresponding syntax, we can drop the structure, the entire structure. So like this, we can able to use the truncate and drop. Let's check with this. I'm going to start about the SQL command line. So first, we require to be provide the command called as the connect, then provide the username and password. Then we have connected with the database, Oracle database successfully. So if you want to know the user who got connected with this corresponding or to this Oracle database software, we can use show user. So the system, that means the admin have connected with the Oracle database software. Once got the clarity that the user who is connecting with this corresponding database, then we can check with the truncate and drop now. So if you really want to use the truncate and drop, first we require the table. Let's suppose I'm having the table, like I'm going to create the table first. Create table. Suppose I'm going to create the table like the dummy table. Start with the parenthesis and provide the ID, which is the number type, number of 3. Means maximum of 3 digits I want to consider for the ID. Next, I want to consider the name. Name is the varchar type, varchar of 30 characters are the maximum. And I want to consider the age. Age is also with the number type again. Number with 2 digits, maximum 2 digits are enough for me. Next, I want to consider the gender, which is the character type, char of 10. I'm going to take. That's it. So like this, I'm going to define the table. Table have created successfully. Once the table have created, I want to create the records into the table. So table is empty now. If you want to know whether the table have created successfully or not, we can use DESC, desk space the table name, dummy table. If you can give the table as per the required data, as per the given data, it has created. Now I want to insert the data. Inserting the data means we require to be add some records into the corresponding table, created table. So that's why I'm using the insert into the table name is the dummy table. Dummy table. Values we require to be insert, right? So values of I want to provide the values for ID. values for ID, ampersand ID, next ampersand name, next ampersand is, next ampersand gender. Done. Done. It is asking the value. Suppose I'm giving the ID like the 101, the name like the Rakesh or the Rajesh, age as the 49, gender as the suppose I'm taking the male, enter. So error at line number 1, we have the error because have not been given the data properly. So again, enter the ID 101. The name is the Rajesh. The name is the Rajesh. Age as the 49. Gender as the male. Gender as the male. Then one row created. Again, I want to do the same operation. I want to provide the ID as the 111. Name as the Anil is the name. And age as the 32. And gender as the male I'm going to give it. Next, one more row I'm going to be add now. So here the ID as the 121 and the name as the Bhargavi, and the age as the 34, gender as the female. So like this, I have added the 3 records. 3 rows means 3 records I have added. So if you want to check it, we can use the select command. Select star from the corresponding table we can be provided. Select star from table. What is the table name here? Dummy table. Dummy table we can be provided. Then the table data have been displayed on the screen. Successfully the data have created. Our records into the table have added, are inserted. Now I want to use the truncate command on this corresponding table what we have created. So I'm using truncate space table space dummy table. So table truncated. So if I'm going to use the select command again, it is going to be say the no rows selected. No rows selected. That means if I'm going to use the desk table name as the dummy table, I have the structure. Okay. So here, if I'm going to be insert the data again, suppose I'm going to be insert the data again. Insert 101. The name as the Rakesh and age as the 34, gender as the male. Done. One row I have added. Okay. So now I have the data. Let's use the select command. Now see the table with the one record we have. Okay. Now if I'm going to use the drop table, dummy table, enter table drop. After the dropping, if I'm going to be use the select command, it is going to be show the error, and the error is describing you that the table or view does not exist. If you are going to be use the desk command, DSC, and the table name, even that is going to be not display the structure also. That means here the difference is what? Truncate can able to remove or delete all the records from the table permanently, but drop can able to delete the structure of the table from the database. This is the basic difference between the truncate and drop. Is it possible to retrieve and restore the drop tables? So just before, like in previous class, we have discussed how the truncate can work and how the drop can work. Truncate can able to delete all the records from the table. Here the record is nothing but the row, but it can maintain the structure of the table, whereas drop can able to delete the whole structure of the data or whole structure of the table from the Oracle database. So here, if I'm going to be perform the drop operation on the table, whether we can able to be retrieve it back or not, and restore it or not, that we need to check it. So here, is it possible means yes, it is possible in the Oracle database. For the Windows, we have the option called as recycle bin. When you can able to be delete any file from our laptop, from our system, the corresponding data in the Windows operating system can store into the recycle bin. So if required, we can be restore it back. So same like in the Oracle database software, we have Oracle recycle bin. When you can able to be perform the drop operation on the table, the corresponding drop tables are going to be stored into Oracle recycle bin. So when we required, we can be retrieve that and restore that also. So today we can learn how to retrieve the dropout table. So when you want to retrieve the dropout table, we can able to use the simple command, which is the DRL command called as select. By using this, we can able to be retrieve the dropout table. How? By using the corresponding syntax like select star from recycle bin. Select the star from recycle bin. By using this, we can able to be retrieve it. Let's check it. For example, so Oracle database, I'm going to be do login. So I'm going to be do login with the system. So go login with the user as well. I'm working with the means I'm going to be logging with the Anil. Now see here, going with the SQL workshop, go to the SQL commands and create one table first. Create table, dummy table. Create dummy table. So the table consisting of the elements like columns, ID, the number of 3, name, which is having the varchar of 30, is the number of 2. Like this, I have a table. Let's run this command. So name is already existed. So that means we have the table here. The corresponding dummy table is already existed. If you can be check, select star from dummy table. We can use the select command and make it run and check it here. The table is existed. So the dummy table, there is one table. So if suppose I'm going to be perform the drop operation of the table, drop on this table, I'm going to be perform drop table. The table name is the dummy table. And let's run the code. Now see table dropped. When I was perform the drop operation, that corresponding table can store into Oracle recycle bin. I want to retrieve it. So how we can able to be retrieve means by using the DRL command, which is the select. Select is the DRL command. Select star from recycle bin. If you can use this and run the command, see this, the table what we have dropped, okay, that is going to be shown. So we are retrieving. So according to this, we can understand when we can be perform the drop operation on the table or any database object, it can be stored into the Oracle database recycle bin. Okay. So if I want to be restore it, how we can be instance to restore the corresponding data, we can use the flashback. The command called as a flashback. Flashback space table is the object. We need to be restore the table. That corresponding table is one of the object. That object name we are using. Table space. Now we require to be provide the table name. What is the table name here? Dummy table. I want to restore it before the drop. Whatever the table I have, I want to restore it. So I'm using before drop. Done. If you can run the code, now see statement processed. Now if I'm using the select command, select star from dummy table. Then run the code, we can retrieve the corresponding data, means restore. Whatever the data have been dropped, that was restored. So like this, we can able to be retrieve the data and restore the data after the drop, the corresponding table. Okay, and suppose you want to delete that corresponding data from the recycle bin also, Oracle recycle bin also. So for that, we can able to use a command called as the purge. Suppose I'm going to use drop space the table Table name is the dummy table. Table name is the dummy table. If you can run the code, table dropped. Table dropped. If I'm going to use the command called as a select star from dummy table, and make it run the code, we cannot be get it. Table was deleted. Table was dropped from the corresponding database. Okay. Now, suppose if I'm going to use select star from recycle bin and make it run this corresponding query, we can able to retrieve that. Whatever the table we have dropped, we can able to retrieve that. Okay, but I want to make it delete from the Oracle database recycle bin also. In that scenario, we can use purge command. Purge, P-U-R-G-E, purge. Purge the table. The table name is the dummy table. Table name is the dummy table. Done. If you can run the code, the corresponding statement processed. Okay. And after this, if you can be used, select star from recycle bin. Select star from recycle bin. Okay. Let's run the code and observe the corresponding dummy table is not shown. So like this, if you want to delete the data from the Oracle recycle bin also, then we can use the purge command. Like this, we can able to use the select command for retrieving, flashback command for restore the data from the recycle bin, and the purge command for deleting the data from the recycle bin of the Oracle database software. We can learn about these two interview questions. How to display all the tables from the currently connected database, and how we can drop the user which we connected earlier. So first question, how to display all the tables from the currently connected database. So how we can be displayed? So there is a command which is the DRL or the DQL command called as the select. By using this corresponding command, we can able to be display all the tables what we have. So select star from tab. So if you can use this command, we can able to make it display all the commands what means all the tables what we have on this corresponding database with the user what we have been connected with. Which user have been connected with on the corresponding users database. What are all the tables? If you want to know, we can be use this corresponding command. Let's check about it. So for example, I'm going to start about the Oracle database software. Get login with the admin DBA. Then connect with the one of the user. Let's connect with one of the user. So here, login. Here I'm logging with the Anil. Now I'm going to be check about the SQL workshop. Go to SQL commands and give a command called as select star from tab. Then run the command. We can see all the corresponding tables what we have in this corresponding database, like the database user who is having the name as Anil. In that database, these are all the tables what we have. All the tables were listed. Okay, next. How we can drop the user which we connected earlier. For example, at the time of installation of the Oracle database software, using the CLI and using the web application and GUI, we have created the multiple users rather than the system, rather than the means DB account, rather than the DB account, we have created the multiple users. Okay, so how we can able to drop the user which we have created using the CLI or GUI, whatever it is. So for that only, we can able to use a command called as a drop user, whatever the username we have, the corresponding username we can use, username cascade. By using this corresponding command, we can able to be drop the user what you want to be delete or drop from the database. So for example, when you want to drop the user from the database which we have created earlier, first we require to be do the login with the DBA. Means the DBA account we need to be used to drop the user. For example, if you can try to be drop the user like Ravi from the account of Anil, it is not possible. The DB account means database admin only can able to drop the user. So that is the reason I'm going to be log out from this account, and I'm going to start with the command line of SQL. So let's connect. I'm giving the DBA details, system and system. So connected successfully. So let me check whether I have connected with the DBA details or not. So show user. So I was connected with the DBA account. Now, first of all, I want to check what are all the users under this DBA account we have. So how we can be instance? Simple. We can use select star from all underscore users. All underscore users. That's it. By giving this, how many users were there? How many users like C, Rakesh, Kumar, Anil, Dinesh, Karthik. Okay. So these are all the users what we have, like 21 rows are going to be selected. So that means under this admin, these are all the users what we have. Suppose I want to remove the account of Rakesh. So how we can be instance? Simple. Drop user Rakesh. That's it. If you can be use this corresponding command, the corresponding user can be dropped. So if you can be use the same command like select star from all users, then in that Rakesh is not available. So like this, what are all the users you want to drop? You want to delete from the database. Okay. First, we need to be do the login with the DBA. From the DBA only, we can able to be drop the user, whatever you want. Means which user you want to drop. So like this, we can able to use the drop command for dropping the user from DBA account. The difference is between the truncate and delete. So truncate is one of the DDL command, whereas delete is one of the DML command. So truncate is DDL command. This is one difference, whereas delete is one of the DML command. So this is the first difference what we have. The second difference is truncate can delete all the records from the given table, whereas the delete can delete all the records and or the specific record from the given table. Third difference. So for example, when you want to delete all the records using the truncate, we can use truncate table, the table name. By using this corresponding syntax, we can able to delete all the records from the table, but delete from the table name. If you can use, it can help you to delete the all records as like the truncate. But the delete can also be used to delete the specific record. So for that case, we can use delete from table name. We can able to define the where condition. So based on the condition, based on the selection, it can allow to be delete the specific record from the table. So this is also one more difference what we have. So here, the truncate not allow to delete. Truncate not allow to delete the specific record, but delete can do. Okay. So these are the differences what we have between the truncate and delete. So the select command is one of the DQL command. So here the DQL is abbreviated as data query language command. It is also called as DRL command. So DRL stands for data retrieval. Data retrieval language convention. So what the select can do? So usually the select command can use to retrieve the data from the table. So usually here the select command can perform the two operations. There are the two operations the select command can perform. One is selection. Second one is projection. One is a selection. Second one is a projection. So what are these? How we can define it? Selection is nothing but retrieving the data from the table based on the condition is what called as a selection, whereas projection is nothing but retrieving of the data from the table. Here the data of what? Retrieving the data of specific or selected columns from the table is called as a projection. So if you really want to retrieve the data from the table based on the condition, or the whole table from all means how many records we have from the table are in the table, all the records you want to be get, okay, then we can go for the selection. So for that case, the syntax we can able to be used like select a star from the table name. This can help you to get all the records of the table. Whereas if you want to get the specific record, then we can use select a star from table name space where the condition we can be specified here. According to the condition, it can able to be returned. So when you can able to use the corresponding select command for retrieving of all the records or specific record based on the condition, what called as here selection. If you want to retrieve the data from the data of specific columns from the table, then that is what called as a projection. So to do the projection, the syntax we can able to be followed like this. Select, no requirement to use the star here. You require to give the column names like column 1, column 2, how many columns you want to retrieve. All the columns we can be give with the comma separation and use the from the table name. That's it. By using this corresponding command, we can able to perform the projection. So let's check about it. Let's suppose I'm going to start about the command line, and I'm going to be I'm trying to be connected with the database using the username as the Andy and the password as the Ravi 2019. So I'm using connect, give the name as the system and the password as the system. So connected successfully. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to be create a table first. Create the table. The table name is the dummy table. Provide the ID, which is the number having the length of 3, name varchar of 20, yes, which is also with the number of table created. Let's insert the data. Insert into the table name is the dummy table. What I want to insert values. So I used to insert all 3 values data. So what are those? ID, comma, name, comma, is done. ID is the 101. Name is the Ravi. Age is the 31. Done. Next, again I want to repeat it. ID is the 102. Name is the something like Bhavani. Age as the 21. So 2 rows are created. let's give select star from dummy table. So if you are going to use this, we got the whole table. So that means in the table, how many records I have inserted, all the records got printed. So this is what called as selection. Suppose I want to display only one specific row, like the row with Bhavani, I want to display a row with the ID as 102. So in that case, we can use select star from the table name is the dummy table where ID equals to, suppose I'm using 102. Then the corresponding only the selected record got displayed. So when you can able to be retrieve the data based on the condition, then we can go with, then it is what called as a selection. But I want to retrieve the data of the specific column from the table, then we can say that is what called as a projection. For that we can use select. Suppose I want to consider the column name as the ID, comma name, comma yes. Okay, from the table dummy table. Then see what happened here. I have been given select a star from dummy table. Sorry, select the ID name yes from the dummy table. So here ID 101, name Ravi, yes 31, yes 31. Suppose if I'm going to do select ID from dummy table. So only one ID can be get displayed. Okay, if you want to retrieve the data from the columns, data of the columns from the table, then we can go with the projection with the select command. So the select command can able to perform the two types of operations here: selection and projection. So this is about the select command. We can discuss about the unique constraints. Unique constraints. So it is very important concept from the Oracle. So first of all, we require to know why constraints. Actually, constraint is a condition. Constraint is a condition. When you want to define the tables, so to define the table or to create the table, we require to use the DDL commands. At the time of creation of the table, we require to use the constraints. If you want to create the table as per the business logic or as per the client requirement, we can go with the constraints. So this is the reason that why the constraint is. So constraints can be used with the DDL commands. Database definition language commands. DDL, database definition language commands, means at the time of the creation of the table, we require to use, or at the time of altering the table, we require to use the constraints. When you want to create the objects of the database based on the business logic, we can go with the constraints. So that's why we can able to apply the constraints at the means with the DDL commands. So why we require to use the constraints with the DDL commands means when we want to create any database object based on the business logic or based on the business requirement, we can go with the constraints. So that's why we require to use the constraints with the DDL command. So here the constraints can be defined at two levels. So one is column level constraints. Second one is the table level constraints. One is the table column level constraints. Second one is the table level constraints. So column level constraints means at the time of defining of the column, if you can able to define the constraint, then we can say that is a column level constraint. Table level constraint means at the end of the table, if you can able to apply the constraint, then we can say that is a table level constraint. So these are the two levels of constraints we can be used. When you can able to apply the constraint at the along with the definition of the colon, then we can say that is a colon level. If you can define the constraint after the means at the end of the table, means after all the columns, then we can able to say that is a table level constraints. So the constraints are of several types. So the one popular constraint is unique constraint. So first of all, why exactly the requirement of the unique constraints that we require to know? So let's suppose I'm going to create a table. Create table with suppose the name fruits. Suppose the name fruits. So here I'm going to give SNO serial number. So which is the number type? Number of suppose 4 digit I'm taking 4 digit, comma fruit name, which is the varchar type, varchar of suppose maximum of 30 characters I'm taking. So this is my table what I'm creating. So after the creation of the table, if I'm going to insert the data, insert into fruits, what I want to insert, suppose values I want to insert here. So values of suppose I'm going to be provide the serial number as 01 and the fruit name is the apple. Done. One row created. So if I used to give the same column number like 01 only, but I used to define the kiwi here. After that, row got created. If I used to define null as the ID and value as the suppose banana I'm going to do. So enter, row got created. And if you can able to print the table, select star from the table name is the fruits. Enter, the table got created and opened. So if you can be observed, the corresponding table has been created with the duplicate serial number and with the null serial number. So when you are going to create the table without the constraints, your table data might be inaccurate. To define the table accurately according to the business logic, we can use the constraints. This is the reason that why the constraints are. So here, unique constraints means when you want to allow the colon of the table uniquely, when you want to define the table colon uniquely, then unique constraint we can be used. Like suppose I want to say the serial number, I don't want to use with the duplication, then we can go the unique constraint to keep the serial number as the unique. Okay, how we can able to? So here I'm going to write the syntax for the unique constraint. Syntax for unique constraints. So how we can be defined? So if you want to define the unique constraint at the column level, then use the syntax like create table, the table name, then start with the parenthesis. You can provide the column name 1 with the data type. Next, column number 2 or the column name 2 data type. Like this, how many columns you want, that many columns we can be keep, right? So at the time of the column definition only, if you can able to use the keyword called as a unique, okay, then we can say that is what called as the column level unique constraint. Okay. So let me check with this. So for example here, I'm going to create the table. First, let me drop the table first. Drop the table fruits. So table dropped. Okay, now I'm going to create the table again. But before, I want to delete the table from the recycle bin also completely. So purge the table fruits I'm using. So table purged. So the table we cannot be restore it into the Oracle database again. Okay, it was deleted permanently even from the Oracle database recycle bin. Okay. Now I'm going to create the table with the name fruits. Okay. So here serial number is one of the element, which is the number type. Number of 4 I'm going to take. So if suppose I'm going to give after this column, if I'm using the keyword unique, okay, and first name, which is the varchar of suppose 20 characters I'm taking, and the last name, which is the of varchar of 20 characters I'm taking. So closing the table. So table got created. Now if I'm going to be insert into fruits. Okay. So I want to insert the values. So values of, suppose I'm giving the number, means serial number as the 1 and the fruit name as the apple. So yeah, sorry. So here the one more element we require to be add apple fruit. I'm going to give the apple fruit. Done. Enter. One row created. Okay. Now, if I'm going to be perform insert into now, if I'm trying to be use the null as the serial number and banana as the first element, banana fruits as the last element if I'm going to be defined. Okay. So now see table row created. So if I'm going to use a select a star from fruits, so we got it. Now if I'm going to be insert, the serial number as the 1 again, but the fruit as the kiwi fruits I'm writing. Now enter. If you can be observed, we got the error. Unique constraint on the given database, the constraint number, the constraint name that Oracle has been provided like this. For every constraint, there is a name can be given by the Oracle database by default. That is like sys underscore C007351 violated. It is saying, hey man, you have said the serial number as the unique. So the same number you are trying to be enter. I can't be take it. So like this, if you want to say the table I want to create with the unique data, then we can go with the unique constraint. So here the unique constraint I have been defined on the column level, but I want to define the unique constraint from the table level, means at the table level. Then let me drop the table, fruits. Now I want to purge the table, fruits. Enter. So table got purged. Okay. Now I want to create the constraint at the table level. So for the table level, we can able to give the syntax like this. Create table name. Okay. Then start with the parenthesis. So whatever the column name you want to give, column name, data type we can be specified. So like this, how many columns you want, that many number of columns we can be provide here. Data type. Okay. After all the column names, you can able to provide, you can able to use a class. The class name is the constraint. In the SQL, we have a class which is called as a constraint. The constraint is the keyword we can be used, can be defined for the constraint class. Okay. Constraint. After this, we require to be provide the constraint name. Whatever the constraint name you want, you can be provide constraint name space. The corresponding unique is the keyword we can use. Unique of which column you want to perform, means you want to define as the unique. That column you can able to be defined here. That's it. So this is the syntax. Can help you to define the table level constraint. So table level constraint is nothing but the constraint can able to be defined at the end of the table, which is the table level constraint. If you can able to define the constraint at the column level, that is what means along with the column definition, then we can say that is a column level constraint. Okay. So now I want to implement this. Let's create the table. Create table with the name fruits. Here I'm going to define serial number, which is the number of 5. Next, fruit name. I'm going to take it like the varchar2 of 50. Next, I want to define the quantity. I want to define the quantity. Okay, quantity is again be the number of, suppose I'm going to take 3, number of 3, done. So here we require to, define the constraint. So constraint is a keyword. Constraint is a keyword we can use. Constraint, whatever the name you want to define, you can give. For example, unique fruit. Unique fruit is the constraint name I'm using. Space unique of, suppose I want to provide the corresponding serial number only as the unique constraint, as the unique. So got created. So like this, if you can able to define the constraint at the end of the table, then we can say that is a table level constraint. To define the table level constraint, we can use the constraint class. Okay. So here, if I'm trying to be insert the data, insert into fruits, values of, suppose I'm going to be provide 102 use the serial number, comma, I'm going to use apple, and the count is the 100. Done. Row inserted. If I'm going to be defined, now 122 is the fruit, and I'm defining the banana. The count is the 400. Then insert, row inserted. If it can be, print the table, select star from the table name is the fruits. Enter, we got the table now. Okay. But when I'm going to be insert the data with the same serial number like 102, but the different fruit is like the jackfruit I'm going to define. Jackfruit. Okay. The count is like the 200. If I can be enter, so definitely I can get the error. In earlier, when I have used column level constraint, for the column level constraint, the Oracle database has been given the constraint name. But now, when I'm going to be perform the table level constraint using the constraint class, the user have been given the constraint name. Now, with that name, the violation can be displayed. So like this, we can able to define the constraints at the column level and a table level. So here the unique constraint is nothing but when you want to make the table without with the unique way, means with unique data, then we can go with the unique constants. But here the advantage with the unique constant is what, in sense we can able to make the means we can able to define the unique constant on more than one column also at a time. This is the advantage with the unique constant. I want to prove you that. So first let me drop the table again. Drop the table name is the fruits. Now I want to purge the table from the database. Purge the table fruits. Now I'm going to, means I want to define the unique constant on more than one column at a time. So for that, create the table, whatever the table name you have, you can be provided. Okay. Start with the parenthesis. So you can provide the column name with its data type, comma, column name with its data type. Okay. Like this, how many you want, that many you can be defined. Okay. Suppose I want to define the unique constraint on more than one column, then you can use the constraint class again. Constraint of, you can provide the constraint name, space unique of how many columns you want, that many number of columns we can be provided. Done. This is the syntax what we can be. So let me implement about this. So here, if I'm going to be create the table again, create table with the name of the fruits. Now I want to provide the serial number, which is the number of, suppose I'm going to give 4, comma, fruit name, which is the varchar2 of 50. Maximum length is a 50. Next, quantity. I want to define the quantity. The quantity is again with the number type. Number of, suppose I'm going to take the 4. Done. Okay. Now what I want to do, I want to define the constraint. So constraint is the keyword which is representing the constraint class. Okay. The constraint name we require to be provided. So the constraint name is the unique fruit. Unique fruit is the constraint name I'm giving. Okay. Space unique is the keyword we can be used. So what are all the columns? What are all the columns you want to make unique? You can be provided. For example, I want to make serial number at the same time quantity also, or else fruit name also. Fruit name also I want to make it a unique. So done. So if you can be give table got created. Okay. So if I'm going to be insert into fruits, values of, suppose I'm giving 101 is the number, serial number. The fruit I'm going to be provide like the apple, the fruit, and the quantity I'm taking like the 500. Done. After that, if you can enter row created. So if you can able to print selector, if you can use the selector, so enter, the table got created. Now if you can enter the serial number as the 121, and I'm going to be provide here the kiwi, okay, which is having the count as 1500, enter row created. And if you can use the select command, kiwi entered. Okay, now this time if I'm going to be enter with the same ID 121, but I'm going to define the different fruit like the jackfruit, different fruit like the jackfruit having the count again 400, enter. So now row created. Okay, so if you can able to print this, so with the same name, we got the output. Suppose I'm going to provide here kiwi again kiwi I'm giving with the different value 1400. Now see the error. Means we are saying I want to get the violation, means I don't want to repeat the same data, same name, and the same key to define the different value. In that case, we can able to provide the constraint with the two values. So if you want to define the unique constraint on more than one column, we can able to use the constraint class. So like this, we can able to be define the unique constraint. Thank you for watching.